Here's something almost every seller doing real volume has in common. The answer to your question already exists. It's sitting in brand analytics exports that nobody has opened this month. The data was never the problem. Getting to it at the moment you actually need it is the problem. Right now, if you want to know why sales dropped this week, you're doing one of three things. You're exporting a business report and squinting at 40 rows in a spreadsheet, you're messaging your agency and waiting a day or two for a reply, or you're guessing and moving on and hoping it wasn't that important. At Enflet, we manage Amazon advertising for brands doing serious revenue. And about a year ago, we got tired of that lag on our client accounts. So we built a way to just ask an account a question and get a real answer back. No export, no wait. It worked so well, we kept adding to it. Today, it's run 10 distinct jobs that would normally take an analyst, an inventory planner, and a pricing strategist all working together. We're opening it up. For the next 60 days, a limited group of sellers get full access, free inside Slack. Not a stripped down demo. The same system running on our clients today. Here's everything it does. Before I walk through all 10 skills, it's worth telling you what kind of agency built this, because it shapes everything the tool actually does. We don't run Enflet like a generic Amazon advertising agency chasing one universal sales number, tacos number. Every decision we make is tied back to contribution margin product by product, because a 10% tacos might be excellent on one SKU and a disaster on another. We separate growth mode from profit mode per product. And honestly, most of our work is about getting the account's structure right, not endlessly tweaking bits. This tool is an extension of that philosophy. It's not a black box making decisions for you. It's the same disciplined margin first thinking we apply to our accounts, just handed directly to you. Now, the norm we're pushing back on, the agency model, ours included, runs on a reporting cadence. Someone pulls numbers, builds a deck, sends it on a schedule. That's theirs, not yours. Useful, but always looking backward. The do-it-yourself alternative is worse. You become your own part-time analyst and you stitch together 5 separate subscriptions, each with its own login, each with its own learning curve. Here's the part worth saying plainly. None of that complexity is actually necessary. And every one of those jobs is a pattern matching task sitting on top of data Amazon already gives you. It doesn't need 5 tools. It needs one system already connected to all of it that explains what it finds in plain English. And one more thing, every skill in the stack starts by confirming your account's specific threshold and starting before it runs. So nothing here is a generic answer built for someone else's business. It's read-only. It does not do bids, does not set budgets, does not touch a single campaign. It's the analyst layer, not the steering wheel. 10 skills. Let's go deep on each one, shall we? Skill 1, weekly business snapshots. What it replaces: a part-time analyst manually pulling sales, margin, and tacos every Monday. Every Monday, unprompted, this drops into your Slack channel. Total sales, unit velocity, margin, and tacos, measured against a rolling 4-week baseline, not just last week in isolation, because 1 week out of context tells you almost nothing. It goes SKU by SKU, calculating net profit after fees and ad spend, so you can see exactly which products are carrying the account and which are bleeding quietly. Here's what makes it more than a report. It ends every week with a what to run next recommendation. If margin dipped on a specific SKU, it doesn't just show you the number. It tells you which of the other 9 skills to run to find out why. You're not just staring at a spreadsheet deciding what matters. It's already decided what's worth your attention before your Monday morning starts. For a seller running 6 figures a month across a real catalog, this alone replaces a task that would otherwise sit on someone's weekly to-do list, and it never gets skipped because someone was traveling or on vacation that week. Skill 2, account and listing health check. What it replaces: manually checking your account health and hunting for suppressed listings. This one watches your account continuously and the red flags the moment something changes. A listing gets suppressed, a policy flag appears, your account health rating moves. Ask, how's my account health? And you get a direct answer instead of clicking through 4 different Seller Central tabs. It's not glamorous, but it's the kind of miss that costs real money precisely because it's invisible. A bestseller sitting suppressed for 3 days isn't a loss you notice right away. It's revenue that quietly stops happening until someone finally looks. This catches it the day it happens. Skill 3, restock priority alert. What it replaces: an inventory planner manually tracking sell-through velocity against stock on hand. Ask, which ASINs need a restock decision this week? And it ranks them by real urgency, not just units remaining, but trailing 7-day velocity combined with your actual inventory position across FBA and FBM together. So a SKU that looks fine in one channel but is quietly trading through the other doesn't slip. This is one of the highest leverage skills in the stack. Stockouts on ranking products are the most expensive mistakes on Amazon. You lose the sale, you lose the velocity, propping up your organic rank, and now you're rebuilding from a worse position once you're back in stock. Getting flagged 2 or 3 weeks earlier than you'd otherwise catch it is the difference between a routine reorder and a real setback. Skill 4, sales, movers, and scanner. What it replaces: the hours normally spent manually diagnosing why SKU spiked or crashed. Something moves up or down. Instead of cross-referencing your ads dashboard, pricing history, and competitor buy box status at one time, you ask, why did this ASIN move this week? And it checks the change against a fixed set of known causes: price change, competitor stockouts, buy box loss, ad spend shift, seasonality, and it tells you which one actually fits. This turns a guessing game into actual answers. Sellers regularly waste time chasing the wrong theory, assuming an ad change caused a spike when a competitor actually went out of stock. Getting the right cause in 30 seconds instead of 45 minutes of tab switching adds up fast when you're managing more than a handful of SKUs. Skill 5, margin drift analyzer. What it replaces: a controller manually tracing margin drift back to fees, cost of goods, average selling price, or refunds. Margin rarely moves for one reason. It usually moves for 2 or 3 things compound: a fee change, a COGS increase, a refund spike, average selling price softening from a promotion. This skill runs year over year, month over month comparison, and splits the drift into what percentage came from your advertising costs versus everything else. Then it routes you to the right next setup. If the drift is average selling price driven, it points you to price elasticity tracker. If it's refund driven, it flags the returns worth digging into. If it's volume driven, it points into the brand metrics and a BSR check. This is the difference between reacting to a symptom and fixing the actual cause. Plenty of sellers raised prices to fix margin when the real issue was a fee change buried in a settlement report nobody opened. This skill surfaces the actual driver and tells you which tool to pull next before it becomes a quarter-long mystery you're solving by trial and error. Skill 6, price elasticity tracker. What it replaces: a dedicated pricing analyst. This is the one skill in the stack with a real track record behind it already. This tracks how sensitive your unit velocity is to price changes on a per ASIN basis, using your own account's real price history rather than a generic industry curve. Instead of guessing whether a $2 increase will hurt your conversion rate, you get an answer grounded in what actually happened on that exact listing's price every time the price moved before. This is proven, not theoretical. It's already running hundreds of times a week on real clients' accounts. For example, a mid-sized supplement brand doing multiple 7 figures a year. Their internal assumption was that a modest price increase on a flagship SKU would hurt conversion enough that it wasn't worth trying. The elasticity data said otherwise. The increase went in, unit velocity held with no meaningful drop, and margin improved on every unit sold afterwards. That's a real pricing decision. This exact skill changed on a real account before this was ever publicly offered. Pricing on Amazon usually gets decided on instinct because most sellers have no data connecting their price movement to their own volume response. This replaces instinct on your account's actual elasticity, calculated from your own history. Skill 7, PPC account audit. What it replaces: a one-time agency audit engagement that typically runs $1,500 or more. Ask for a full PPC audit, and it walks through your entire account structure. Campaign cannibalization between overlapping match types. Duplicate targets competing against each other. Budget sitting on campaigns that aren't your actual winners. It surfaces the same category of findings a paid audit produces, using the same structural logic agencies like ours already run on client accounts today. The real difference is that this doesn't happen once and go stale. A traditional audit is a snapshot of your account on the day someone looked at it. 3 months later, your catalogs changed and the findings are outdated. You can run this again next month, next quarter, and anytime your structure shifts without booking a new engagement or paying a new fee every time. For a seller who's never had a real structure audit done, this single skill is worth more on its own than the entire 60-day window costs us to give away. Skill 8, SQPR, Search Query Performance Report Strategy Analyzer. What it replaces: an analyst manually cross-referencing your Search Query Performance Report against your ad console every time an ASIN moves. Tedious enough that almost nobody actually does it consistently. This is one of the more technical skills in the stack and is generally underused industry-wide. Your Search Query Performance Report tells you exactly how you convert on real terms customer search, but almost no seller cross-references that against their live campaign structure in real time, because doing it by hand means pulling 2 separate reports and manually matching terms row by row. Here's what makes this one different. It triggers automatically. The moment an ASIN performance moves meaningfully up or down, it checks brand analytics against your ad console for that specific product without you having to ask, and proposes a concrete adjustment. Which search terms you're converting well on organically, but barely targeting with ads. Which terms you're spending on, where your organic conversion share is already weak and the spend isn't earning its keep. That gap between what your search data says and what your campaigns are actually doing is where a lot of wasted ad spend and missed organic opportunity quietly lives. Skill 9, brand metrics tracker. What it replaces: manually pulling new to brand and subscribe and save trend reports by hand. New to brand percentage and subscribe and save enrollment are two of the clearest signals of a real brand health, not a sales spike, but whether you're actually growing your customer base and building recurring revenue underneath it. This tracks both over time, using month-over-month and year-over-year comparisons, and tells you when either metric is trending in a direction worth acting on. Most sellers check this quarterly, if that, because it means navigating to brand analytics and exporting reports nobody has a standing reason to open. Having it surface automatically means catching a declining new-to-brand trend while there's still time to act, instead of noticing it a quarter late after the damage is already baked into your numbers. Skill 10, traffic and conversion funnel tracker. What it replaces: the guessing game of figuring out whether a sales drop is a traffic problem, a conversion problem, or a buy box problem. When sales drop, the instinct is almost always to blame advertising. Sometimes that's right. Just as often, sessions held completely steady and the real break was in the unit percentage, your actual conversion rate, or in lost buy box share. This skill pulls sessions, page views, unit percentage, and buy box percentage by SKU and isolates exactly what stage of the funnel broke. This is the skill that closes the loop on everything before it. It's also the one that feeds directly back into Margin Drift Analyzer's volume down branch. So when that skill traces a drop back to volume, this is exactly what tells you where in the funnel it actually broke, instead of you guessing at a fix for a problem you haven't relocated yet. So that's all 10. The weekly business snapshot, account listing health check, restock party alert, sales mover scanner, margin drift analyzer, price elasticity tracker, PPC account audit, SQPR strategy analyzer, brand metrics, and the traffic and conversion funnel tracker. Individually, these are functions of a Amazon analyst: an inventory planner, a pricing strategist, and a PPC audit, running continuously instead of a quarterly schedule. Price out separately, this stack runs close to $2,800 a month plus a $1,500 one-time audit. For the next 60 days, it's free. Here's a guarantee, and it's worth being direct about how unusual it is. If, after 60 days, this hasn't answered a single question that changed a real business decision, you owe us nothing. There's no credit card to start. There's nothing to remember to cancel. We're not asking you to trust the pitch. We're asking you to let it prove itself inside your account first. This is built for sellers doing $20,000 a month or more, because that's the level of data volume and complexity where this stack actually earns its keep. And because onboarding quality matters more to us than headcount, this cohort is capped. We're taking a limited number of sellers through this free window before it moves to pay tier. If that's you, the link to apply is below. We built this to serve our clients faster. Now we're finding out what it can do for